what we like. Even after 11 months and most 30,000 miles, we're finding new good reasons to exercise the Pacifica's ability for rapid-fire configuration changes. A spontaneous furniture purchase at the big box store? Carrying a bicycle with a spine and unexpectedly need to give a few friends a ride? Need to haul face cord of firewood plus 3 kids? All of these scenarios presented themselves recently, along with the Pacifica ably handled each one, even as simply folded some combined the third row split bench or second row stow and go buckets to the floor, a trick not one other automaker's minivan are able to do. Our Pacifica also is constantly generate high marks based on how comfortable, quiet, and reliable it's been. Indeed, we've had 0 major issues inside our 34,000 miles currently and have barely encountered anything minor, either. The Pacifica's Uconnect Theatre rears its entertainment system, featuring its twin 10.1-inch touch screens, gets regular accolades for the ability to sedate otherwise restless children all night on end, undoubtedly a key answer why this van has accumulated miles so rapidly. It's in this particular arena, plus cargo passenger space utility, that this Pacifica shines most. The kids watched movies and played games, plus they were thrilled to take action. A fantastic answer to the Midwest's never-ending, straight, flat expressways, said reviews editor Josh Jackwat. The games built into your 2 rear entertainment screens also pacified a passel of inebriated adults en route back from your Detroit Red Wings game, although considering the level of noise emanating from your rear with the cabin, the designated driver wasn't convinced this at all reduced driver distraction. View 171 photos. What we don't like. The carpet in the Pacifica's floor usually attract dirt, lint, and hair through an almost magnetic pull, so that it is nearly impossible to vacuum it to your satisfactory higher-level cleanliness. A visit to mountainous western states revealed a failing with the 9-speed automatic, its absence of manual shift control. When the driver efforts to maintain consistent increase steep grades, the transmission waits for a lot throttle before granting a downshifted after it finally does go with a lower gear, attempting to jumps down 2 ratios as opposed to 1. At that point, the van gains speed so rapidly this may not be a lack of power problem. The driver must lift to stop blowing through the desired speed. That can cause the transmission to upshift twice, right back in where it started, repeating the spiral of gear hunting. Descending mountains isn't significantly better. As low-range the Pacifica's only forward selection aside from drive, and its sole solution for requesting a cheaper gear keeps the engine near redline and doesn't provide more precise manual control that all other minivan possesses like the Pacifica's Dodge badge predecessor, the Grand Caravan, and that is still on the market. Also within this western journey, the 80 mph speed limits joined with 30 mph gusts of wind had us wishing for much more body control as our loaded-down Pacifica uncomfortably moved around on its suspension and was at risk of being upset by frost heaves along with pavement imperfections. View 171 photos. What went wrong? The only noteworthy development is usually a creaking noise that accompanies light braking as well as initial acceleration at a dead stop. And it's also something we're about to have considered during our next service visit. Other than that, a sluggish leak that created in the left rear tire, undoubtedly due to your sharp object we ran over, was plugged for $20 at our local tire shop. We also pitted with the Pacifica's 30,000 mile service, which cost $151 on an oil change, a tire rotation, as well as an engine air conditioner filter. But the Pacifica is speeding toward the conclusion of our 40,000 mile test with perfect reliability and very few issues, a circumstance that generally seems to be getting rarer and rarer in today's gizmo-packed vehicles. Where we went, Jackwat wins the longest trip award, using a 3,700-mile doozy across Nebraska, Wyoming, and Idaho, the spot that the Pacifica was stuffed full, 2 adults, 2 kids, 2 bikes within the back, and a couple of weeks' price of luggage. Our in-demand van also revisited Wisconsin, this time around to support a photograph shoot at Road America, as well as the Pacifica endured additional weekend jaunts up north. That's Michigan speak for up to anywhere at the higher latitude than Detroit. Other than that, Our Pacifica keeps on keeping on doing things that it does best, the daily grind of running errands involving large objects and a large multiple people. What we like, while the latest Chrysler Pacifica minivan is smart, functional, and fuel efficient, and even resists stereotypes since they can be dynamically sound and aesthetically pleasing, the topic of the majority of interest among potential buyers appears to be reliability. Swiftly reaching the halfway point of the 40,000 mile test, our Pacifica is perpetually active, widely used for trips near and skillful at hauling cargo both sentient and otherwise. It's also good at switching between those transporting extremes, featuring its fold-into floor seats. Thus far, it's been completely reliable, too, pausing exclusively for routine service at 10,000 and 20,000 miles. The only issues, which we've stated previously in previous updates, have already been inconsequential. A plastic clip broke the first time we removed the panel that conceals the abdominal fat, and quite often during a remote start the climate control temperature setting annoyingly defaults to its coldest setting, which certainly works against tries to pre-warm the cabin. What we don't like, although the adaptive cruise control works and it's very easy to switch returning to standard cruise control when desired, the Pacifica often surges forward with simply too much power each time a gap in traffic opens, then quickly ramps the facility back down, gets hotter, realizes it wasn't required to reach the set speed. We've also had reports of front seat passengers mistakenly grabbing with the rotary shift knob when aiming to adjust radio station's volume, so we don't like that this navigation system won't display the remaining distance and arrival time concurrently, or that this Wi-Fi password can't certainly seen while a vehicle is moving. What went wrong? Nada. We stopped the 20,000 mile regular service just prior to an adventurous staffer's departure for just 2 weeks of closer proximity family bonding on a holiday to Wyoming and Idaho. This service included the replacement with the cabin air conditioner filter in addition to an oil and filter change, a tire rotation, as well as inspections. That's why it'd be more expensive, $167 than our first stop, $86. Where we went, back-to-back 1,200-mile round-trip treks from Ann Arbor, Michigan, as a result of Virginia International Raceway for the annual Lightning Lap track blowout. This year's story not far off, where it served tirelessly in thankless but vital logistics and photography duties, then repeated the voyage the next week when we got trained out. Besides the journey to Idaho, the Chrysler also headed on to Wisconsin and regularly crisscrosses the state of Michigan for weekend getaways. Will probably never eradicate every last grain of sand so it has collected from area beaches, and its cargo hold has devoured many methods from bicycles to water heaters. Since our last update, we've also driven and tested the all-new 2018 Honda Odyssey, the Pacifica's fiercest competitor. The Pacifica narrowly took the victory inside a recent comparison test, but an Odyssey has since joined the long-term fleet for the long-haul showdown between those two superlative minivans. The Honda's presence is not yet appreciably diminished demand for your Chrysler. It is summer vacation season, in fact. What we like, this latest Chrysler minivan's overall design and execution. Of course, we appreciate its practical attributes, too, the commanding forward visibility, various cubby storage locations, the fold-in floor second row stow-and-go bucket seats, that of its 7 seats can comfortably accommodate adults, and the large cargo area behind the third row can swallow several carry-on-sized suitcases. But practicality is actually a given to get a minivan, and Chrysler got a lot more than just that right. There are well-executed details including the grain and gloss levels within the interior trim that impart an even more upscale appearance. And, even as we pointed out after our initial test, the Pacifica is dynamically ordained, with astute steering plus cornering and braking metrics that better just about anything with 3 rows. It also rides well and is also comprehensively hushed at speed, in terms of wind noise suppression and isolation over coarse road surfaces. In addition to all from the foregoing, we've stretched tanks of fuel so far as 500 miles while averaging all the way to 29 miles per gallon. Partially enabling the long runs will be the rear seat entertainment system with dual 10.0-inch touch screens that contain proven to woo the wee ones. Summing up doing this goodness in a very sentence from the logbook, associate online editor Joseph Caparella writes, "I'd rather drive this than essentially any 3-row crossover." What we don't like. First off, the old Dodge Grand Caravan is constantly sell with a 40% faster rate as opposed to vastly superior but higher priced Pacifica. In terms on the Pacifica itself, we've found the halogen headlights being lacking during rural night driving. So did the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety which gave them a poor rating, the smallest possible, rolling around in its relatively new illumination testing. The top spec Pacifica Limited gets heads, which read like were entirely on lesser trims, those score an acceptable rating from it. Those of us who may have logged one of the most miles have reported ooky outer thighs after resting them up against the relatively firm seat sculpting for additional than couple of hours within the saddle. We think the base cushion really should be more plush, especially with a vehicle that is certainly so best for long hauls. There is also a slight interstaff divide between stow-and-go devotees and those that would prefer non-foldable middle-row seats which might be wider, cushioner, and more comfortable for adults. When we duck in the open rear liftgate to press the energy close button inside cargo area, the machine waits just good enough before responding. It seems likely it didn't register, and we press it again. We suppose it's giving us time for you to get out on the way, but it really would make more sense to find a button from the more typical location for the base with the liftgate itself. A review currently wouldn't be complete without some infotainment-related gripes, and now we have a few, including that the navigation destination can't be entered from the touchscreen as the van is moving. If any vehicle is likely to have a very right-seat passenger managing the navigation system, it's a minivan. The in-car Wi-Fi is simply 3G capable, which erased our visions of streaming video on the second-row screens via Google Chromecast or Roku. All third-row riders higher than the age of 5 roughly point out that there's one USB port back there. We've also had complaints about zooming past an intended channel together with the ultra-low for tuning knob. And the controls to the heated seats and tyre are buried within the touchscreen whilst they are helpfully accessible within the welcome screen temporarily after startup. We do appreciate which the steering wheel gets legitimately and satisfyingly hot, though, not merely the lawyer-approved lukewarm that's so prevalent. What went wrong? Nothing of substance. We did check out the dealer to the first scheduled service at 9,900 miles, which was comprised of fresh 0W20 oil and also a filter along that has a tire rotation, all for $86. We have noticed one odd glitch that people investigate after a later service stop. Sometimes throughout a remote start, the climate control automatically sets itself to its low setting and remains there even though the driver has pushed the beginning button within your vehicle. Not so bad for that summer months, but once the purpose of using the remote start feature should be to warm the cabin, entering an icy hurricane isn't, well, cool. Where we went, the longest venture up to now was each time a family of 5 joined the practical vehicle parade that is certainly I-75 southbound during Michigan's spring break week. They logged 2,500 miles, which included stops inside the Hilton Head, South Carolina, area in addition to a jaunt into St. Augustine, Florida. There also happened to be 3 separate weekend journeys to northern Michigan for activities between downhill skiing into a gentleman's woodsy weekend outing. But, regardless of mission, all travelers have returned spouting Pacifica superlatives. After an endeavor that drifted perilously around indifference using its previous, 5th-generation minivans, Chrysler revived the Pacifica nameplate and attached it with a 6th-gen model that drips together with the confidence of the company that came up with the segment. This van's new from-ground-up platform is substantially lighter, aluminium sliding doors as well as a magnesium and aluminum liftgate make a choice shed about 200 pounds, considerably more aerodynamic, feature-rich, and gracefully good-looking. To be the lightest in the class is very impressive for the Pacifica also aces and its crash tests, although its smallish door pockets, the Toyota Siennas are doubly large, are likely caused by side impact optimization. and the platform's additional stiffness and first independent rear suspension been employed by wonders for the dynamic performance. Duly impressed, we named it the best van in your 2017 10 Best Trucks and SUVs competition and promptly ordered one for just a 40,000 mile long UL test. Aside from your Pacifica hybrid, that is the first plug-in hybrid minivan with the US market. How's that forever coming back swinging question mark? There are not any powertrain choices. All Pacificas are front-wheel drive and powered with the latest 287 horsepower Pentastar V6, that is replete with efficiency tweaks, for example toe-step variable intake air valve lift, cooled exhaust gas recirculation, plus a compression ratio increase to 11.3 to 1, however the engine hasn't yet switched to direct fuel injection. Starting in January 2017, all Pacificas have stop-start capability, boosting their EPA ratings by the single-city MPG into a best-in-class 1928 city highway. Our car was built before the switch-over point and keeps its engine simmering while stopped. It thus is rated at 1,828 miles per gallon. With no indication of gear state, with no way to manually select gears besides a generic L position within the rotary shift knob, which provides early downshifts and engine braking, Pacifica drivers might not know it's a 9-speed automatic doing the shifting. Although when starting off on the cold morning, upshifts are notably long and lazy, overall the 9-speed within this long-term Pacifica shifts far more smoothly in comparison to earlier Pacifica test vehicles, or our long-term Honda Pilot, which shares this transmission, so clearly there seemed to be some fruitful last-minute fiddling. How we did spec it in our dance while using configurator as well as the Pacifica's 5 available trim levels for which carry over through the outgoing town and country. We leapt at night base $30,090 LX. The $32,090 Touring adds passive entry and power sliding doors, along with the $36,090 Touring leather seating, power liftgate, heated front seats, 3-zone automatic climate control towards the $39,390 Touring Plus, as it's the least expensive method to get the modern Uconnect Theatre rear seat entertainment. Oddly, this can be $1,995 option around the more expensive limited model. Although lesser trims produce an optional single-screen rear seat entertainment system, Uconnect Theatre features 2 10-inch touchscreens that flip up in the back on the front seats. In addition, for the usual DVD capability, there's an HDMI port for each and every screen and kid-friendly built-in apps and games like Bingo, Checkers, the license plate game, and tic-tac-toe, which is often played against your traveling companion, in addition to an Awiviet app that keeps rear seat riders informed of progress toward an entered navigation destination. The Touring Plus model includes the larger, 8.4-inch Uconnect screen up front, a system we generally find very easy to use and one from the quickest responding touchscreens we've tested, a larger display screen within the instrument cluster, an electricity seat with the front passenger, along with a heated tire and second row seats. We quickly spent all with the $4,600 saved by stopping short on the top limited trim along with a panoramic sunroof, hands-free sliding doors and liftgate, a built-in vacuum, and ventilated front seats in options. The most expensive line item was the $1,995 Advanced Safety Tech Group, a lot of money of driver assist features that also includes adaptive cruise control that operates all the best way down into a stop. We also appreciate whose simple to switch between regular and adaptive cruise, a 360-degree video feed to help remedy maneuvering, lane departure warning and lane keeping assist, automated emergency braking, automatic activation for wipers and high beams, plus an automated parking feature. We also opted with the $995 Class 2 trailer hitch, make it possible for maximum cargo and recreational flexibility, $895 for 18-inch wheels and tires, and $695 to feature navigation for the Uconnect system. Perhaps most significant, we also added $295 with an inflatable mini spare, something that any of us strongly believe must be standard, particularly on the vehicle that doesn't wear unflat tires. We suspect that Pacifica owners who are introduced to this tire strategy while stranded within the side in the road will wholeheartedly concur. Another spare tire snag is that this available built-in vacuum limited only resides inside same space and so can't coexist using the spare. From one of several 9 exterior colors, we selected the deep red paint, Chrysler calls it velvet red pearl, and went while using light taupe seats, which, together with black and other copper accents, build a bright and striking multitone interior. Wisely, Chrysler pairs the sunlight interior with black carpeting. That ought to show less grime, however the plastic dorsal trim matches the seats and may even be not easy to keep clean. Numbers game. We've now tested Pacificas on each of their 3 wheel sizes, 17s, 18s, and 20s. And these 18-inch Michelin Premiers tires turned in the shockingly strong performance that dominates additional 2, stopping in 164 feet from 70 miles per hour, 13 feet and 23 feet better compared to the 20-inch Falcons as well as the 17-inch Yokohamas, respectively, and hanging on to get a very impressive 0.87 grams while cornering better by 0.04 and 0.09 grams. Not that way back when, within the early 2000s, this became BMW M3 grade chassis performance. Seriously. And this van is on all-season tires, no less. And the stability control was intervening before we hit the exact grip limit. Among today's fleet, the Pacifica won't be nipping with the heels connected with an M3 while on an autocross, but it really is within the upper echelons among 3-row vehicles, outperforming everything, just a few fringe outliers. For example, the Mercedes-AMG GLS 63 0.91 grams. Acceleration times, including a 7.3 second 0 to 60 mph scoot, come in line with this previous Pacifica tests and are on a quick end in the minivan segment. Chrysler remains alone in providing second-row seats that tuck away to the floor called stow and go, even if this means the seats are flatter and thinner versus the best non-stowable alternatives. If rear comfort for adults is usually a priority, you'll need to take a long look for a Honda Odyssey. This is more third-row legroom. Even when the seats aren't folded, however, the underfloor bins provide useful additional storage, one of these easily swallowed an instance of bottled water and also a sleeping bag to complement a weekend of camping, for instance. Accessing them does require sliding top seats very far forward, but that task is produced easier with the Pacifica's new Stow and Go Assist feature, which consists of buttons with the base in the pillars that power the seats out from the way. An extra push returns a front seat to its previous location. Those regularly lugging youngsters appreciate that this second-row buckets for the first time kneel toward allow third-row access in a very manner that doesn't customize the angle between backrest and the cushion, thus allowing a kid seat to be mounted setup during the process. Early impressions: we are definitely appreciating the Pacifica's quiet at-speed demeanor. Our interior noise measurement of 68 decibels at 70 miles per hour puts it on the quiet end with the 3-row back, thanks simply to standard active noise cancellation. And at those highway cruising speeds, we're seeing impressive fuel economy, which is pushing 30 miles per gallon. Our 21 miles per gallon running average thus far will little doubt improve even as we take more trips. Although we're perfectly fine with all the lights now inside, the V6's voice gets hotter as pressed. Occasionally an unwanted warble shines through at low RPM when driven gently. We wish the Pacifica's third-generation Uconnect infotainment had Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration, features that have been added for the 2017 Chrysler 300 along with the Dodge Charger and Challenger as part of any 4th-gen Uconnect upgrade that will without a doubt migrate for the Pacifica inside the very near future. Although a corner seat entertainment has proved very skilled at distracting young riders, we've noted annoyance with all the 4-step process involved to experience the audio at a DVD within the vehicle's speakers, together with the need for just a USB device for being plugged into the front port as a way to play about the rear screens. Our lone minuscule problem to date happened once we removed the trunk access panel to go on a peek at the abdominal fat and one in the plastic locking tabs snapped off. Oil change intervals are dictated with the onboard computer, and it's looking as though our first deal be requested a little bit before 10,000 miles. The first scheduled maintenance visit happens at 20,000. Until then, we'll be behind the leather-wrapped controls, heaping about the miles in search of all things practical. Welcome, Pacifica. And welcome back, Chrysler.